Plaintiff Keith Higginson is suing his former roommate, Gary Waite, for an unpaid loan plus interest. Keith says the living situation became unbearable when Gary began flirting with him and walking around in his underwear. But Gary says Keith is the one who put a strain on their friendship when he moved his girlfriend in without permission and she began flirting with Gary's boyfriend.
All right, Keith Higginson is suing his former roommate, Gary Waite, for an unpaid loan plus interest. And Gary Waite is countersuing his roommate for unpaid rent. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And who are you?
I am Garrett Fields.
You're not a party to this action. You're a witness?
Witness, correct.
Okay. Keith, why are you suing?
Okay, Your Honor. I worked with Mr. Waite for about 2 years or so. During that time, I found that Mr. Waite had a room for rent. And at the time, I needed a place to stay. Knowing Mr. Waite is a homosexual, I had no problem with that. I decided to rent a room from him. From the time I moved in, I started to feel uncomfortable after a little while. He'd walk around in his tighty-whitey underwear with his stomach hanging out, like eat with like food all over his chest. It was kind of disgusting.
Well, didn't you know this from when you were working together?
No, he didn't wear that uniform at the bar, Your Honor.
Good answer. All right, so you move in with him, and what's the agreement?
The agreement is to pay $375 a month for rent. I have a rental agreement here and a ledger from all the months I paid rent.
What happens?
It becomes increasingly uncomfortable. Things started disappearing out of my room. And so one day
what?
DVDs, change. There was just constant fights and bickering between them.
Well, did you say to them, did you go in my room and take out a DVD?
Oh, yeah, I asked them, and to that, of course, they denied it. They're always fighting, constantly fighting.
You always fighting, Gary?
No.
We fight just as much as a regular couple does. Just as much as they would.
Are you a couple?
Yes, we are.
Were you living there too?
Yes.
Unauthorized, I might add.
Yeah.
Unauthorized. So this must have been a real hoot.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
When she had moved in, it was actually Garrett's idea, and there was no change in rent.
You wanted her to move in?
No, I didn't want her to move in.
Did you know her before she moved in?
I had met her maybe once or twice before.
With Keith?
With Keith.
Now, day one, $375 a month. It's just you moving in with them. Yes? No?
I'm moving in, but my girlfriend came, I think it was a day or two later,
Let's see the agreement. Ay. I'm supposed to read this? What's your name?
Rachel.
Rachel? You're not on here. Okay. But that's okay. Keep going.
Okay. We had rented a hotel room to get away from, just to get away for the night. I came back early to retrieve something.
Why are you getting away for the night from a place where you live?
Because it's that uncomfortable for me, Your Honor.
Why is it uncomfortable? You're not explaining this to me.
The tighty-whities, the ants.
What ants?
There was ants.
A-U-N-T or A-N-T?
A-N-T-S, ants. There was ants crawling around everywhere but our room. Imagine that, because of the garbage they let build up. And
so the ants came to your door and they didn't go in?
Well, they tried.
They knew it was locked.
They tried, but we would spray and whatnot. It was our sanctuary, Your Honor. But things just got worse.
Can I ask a question? And
Sure.
I don't mean to make light of this. When did things go south? How long after you moved in?
After Gary had lost his job, and I realized eventually he was going to be evicted from the place, he had asked to borrow some money from me. I decided that would probably be a good idea to get it in writing, and he actually wrote this up when he proposed to borrow money from me, and this is the agreement we did, and I had it notarized.
Good for you. All right, Keith. I will pay you back with interest equaling $550. Paid back. I'm in such a crunch right now. I wouldn't ask unless it were necessary. Gary signs it. Keith and State of Oregon acknowledged, notarized. So you want to borrow money from them?
Correct.
So can I ask a question? If things are so bad, why are you loaning him money?
Because I didn't want to be kicked out on the street. If we were going to get evicted, I'd be evicted right along with him.
Yep. Very good. I appreciate it. Now, you move out. When do you move out?
I moved out, I believe it was on the 21st of April.
And how long had you lived there at that point?
4 months.
You were there 4 months. And what kind of notice did you give him?
I told him I was going to be moving out at the end of the month.
Is that correct, Gary?
No, we came home one day and he was packing his things. We got there and he was packing up everything. And I'm like, "You're moving out?" He's like, "Yeah, we can't take it anymore." That was him moving out. That was the notice we got when we got back home.
Okay. And what did you say to him at that point?
I was like, "Well, why are you moving out?" "Well, we don't feel safe living here." "Why you don't feel safe?" "Well, the reason they didn't feel safe was because the police were looking for Rachel because she had warrants for her arrest." That was
Which
the whole
got
reason.
taken care of, by the
That
way.
was
What?
the whole reason
Which not
why.
taken care of? You admit to it? Get up here.
Okay.
What is your name?
My name is Rachel Francis. Well, the police came to the door, but they weren't initially looking for me. They were actually looking for Mr. White.
Yes, they were looking for me for questioning in conjunction with my job.
Why are they looking for you?
Because they were doing an investigation with my work because I, along with 5 other managers, had combinations to the safe, so they had to question everybody.
Right.
Some money came up missing. So it was procedural. The detective was there to question me as well as
And
everyone
in
else.
this procedural endeavor by the detective, were you asked to come into headquarters?
No, he questioned me in my home.
Was someone ultimately arrested?
Nope.
Okay, so it's certainly you were not arrested.
Nope.
What do you want to say, Garrett?
They would have arrested her, Miss Rachel if she was there, but her and Keith Higginson both.
You know what I love? I love when lay witnesses predict what the cops would have done. Don't you, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
No, that's speculation. Go ahead, Rachel. Plus, she's going to admit to it in a minute anyway. All right, Rachel, what do you want to tell me?
Yes, at the time I did have a warrant, and
For
this
what?
was my ex-boyfriend gave me a fake $10 bill, which I didn't know, and I
Your
used it.
ex-boyfriend gave you a fake $10 bill?
Yes, but at the time I didn't know it was fake.
Of course you didn't know, right.
Well, I didn't know.
didn't know,
And then,
right.
and then I got, they marked it, and I waited there, and the police came and arrested me, and that's
And what
the
happened to
warrant.
that case, Rachel?
I didn't go to the hearing, judge hearing, or to the.
Yeah, that's why there's a bench warrant out for you.
Yeah,
That's
they're
why they're
bench
looking
warrant,
for it.
yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, I
thank
get
you.
it. Go
But-
ahead.
Everything's been taken care of. I'm on work. I did work release. This was like
All right,
almost
so you
9
were
months ago.
convicted.
It's a long time ago.
So
It
you were
has no-
convicted. Rachel, just
Yes.
be honest with me. You were convicted?
Yes.
All right. So you didn't feel safe when the cops are looking for Rachel?
Well, the cops came there looking for Mr. Waite to question him, and he hid in his room the whole time, and Rachel answered the front door.
Okay. So you're saying they're looking for Rachel?
No, they came initially looking for me. I was asleep in the
Right.
room. She answered the door and told them that she was my sister and that I was at work and I wasn't home.
So why didn't you just come out and say,
Well,
I'm here?
I
in
did
your
eventually
tidy
came out
whities?
when they came back knocking. They came back knocking and they said, well, the only reason we came back is because Miss Francis had a warrant for her arrest. Otherwise, we wouldn't have came back.
Oh, my goodness. Boy, a lot of drama here. All right. So what are you suing for?
I'm suing for the promissory note that was written there, the
$550?
$550. Yeah,
Right.
$76.50 for court filing fees.
I never give court filing fees. I figure people
Okay.
get into these messes, they ought to get out of them.
Okay.
Okay. And what are you suing for?
I'm suing for the amount that she did not pay for staying there for the 3 months or 4 months that she stayed there in my home scot-free. And to top it all off, if all the other things that, the loud sex, the banging of the bed against the wall, the neighbors knocking on the door saying, what's all that racket, and us having to turn our TV up loud to prevent from hearing Rachel and Keith have extremely loud sex. Good sex is good, Your Honor, but, they took it to the extreme, And then to top it all off, then she tries to hit on my man,
She did?
Yes, this lady right here tries to hit on my man while she's in her drunken stupors off her juice that she was drinking.
She would every time that Rachel would get drunk, she would come to me and tell me that how much she would want to be with me. I mean, I understand that I'm a good looking guy, but I love this man right here, and I don't want to be with a woman. If I wasn't going to be with a woman, I wouldn't want to be with that woman over there.
Whoa.
I'll bet you both your heads up.
Plaintiff Keith Higginson is suing his former roommate for an unpaid loan plus interest. Keith says the defendant's bizarre behavior forced him and his girlfriend to move out.
Go ahead. What do you want to say, Keith?
First-
Defend your woman here.
This is funny.
This man is crazy.
Well, you've got nothing to say. Rachel, did you?
No. Yes, we did have sex, of course, but they did the same thing. It's not just like
You know what?
us.
I don't need
And the
to know
neighbors
anymore.
never knocked.
Yeah,
The
you know
neighbors
what?
never
Yeah,
knocked on the door.
I don't care. Now, why, since the lease only says Gary, Garrett, and Keith, why didn't you say at the end of the first 48 hours when she moved in?
Well, we had told her.
Give us another $375.
We had told him, as part of if she was going to be living there like and acting like it was her home, that she would need to have to pay rent there.
Did they tell you that? Did they ask for rent?
No, not for me, no. And also in the notarized statement, it says Keith and Rachel.
Because they had been living there a while after that after that thing had been written.
And we did pay half and half. They paid half the rent, we paid the other half.
It's right out on the
agreement wasn't
paper.
for them.
See the agreement?
I got to tell you, this is very interesting. I mean, it's very organized. It's very well documented.
They never said that I
What
had
was
to
the
pay
total
rent too.
for the rent, guys? What was the total?
It's $380. It was $300 for rent and $80 for utilities.
So, and
So
he
it's
paid
half and half.
$375?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the agreement, you can see.
Okay. Oh, dear. Okay, this is an action by the plaintiff for an unpaid loan plus interest and a countersuit by the defendant for unpaid rent. Let me deal with the countersuit immediately. You do not get any money for a countersuit. When you did address them asking for a favor, as opposed to saying, by the way, you owed me money and, I wish you'd give me X, Y, or Z, you don't do that. Here's what's interesting about this. This is a notarized statement. They're suing you for $450 plus $100 interest. It is absolutely usurious to ask for $100 on a $450 loan. I mean, even your loan sharks don't ask for that much. But what's interesting is that you wrote the contract. So normally I would have avoided this as usurious interest and said you were absolutely not entitled to $100. But the truth is that the defendant, in seeking it, offered to pay you $100, and therefore you do get that $100. So verdict is on behalf of the plaintiff for $450 plus $100 interest. Now, I hope that all of you have learned a lesson, and that is that when you do rent out a space and someone else moves in who is not clearly anticipated, you immediately put the other party on notice and make a demand for additional rent. All right. And hopefully when you pick up your next roommates, all four of you, you find people that you can get along with.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.